He just always liked the water. He talked about either working offshore in the Gulf. Then someone told him about the towboats, and that's when he went that direction.
He was on the verge of becoming the youngest towboat captain and probably had a long career running a boat up and down the river.
Loved to be the center of attention in the life of the party. Whether you were 80 years old or you were 15 years old, he was going to flirt with you. Always wanting to help somebody out. Ultimately, his good-heartedness is what got him in trouble at the end. He had gone to a party across the lake, and I think he met her at the party. Willie Goodman was very polite, very, cute girl.
When we first met her, she was quiet, and Christian liked her, so that was good enough for us.
Is there any doubt in your mind that Christian fell in love with your daughter?
No, no doubt whatsoever.
And did she feel the same for him?
She did, and she does to this day.
We were out to eat at a restaurant, had just sat down. My father called and said we had a tragedy.
911, where's your emergency?
Ma'am, we've had a suicide.
You had a suicide?
Yes, ma'am.
That was toughest news I ever heard. It still hurts today.
Who is it, sir?
Christian ANDREACCHIO. He's laying across the bathroom tub, and he's got blood everywhere.
Did he take his own life?
No, sir. Absolutely not. No, he would never do that.
Okay, who's that in the background?
That's his girlfriend.
What's her name?
Willie Goodman.
Do you believe that your son was murdered?
Oh, I 100% believe he's murdered.
Mr. ANDREACCHIO was shot the right side of the head. There was very little, if any, investigation that took place on the scene on the day that it occurred. It was totally bungled because the investigators were called off.
Because they didn't do their job, we had to do their job for them.
Sitting across from me today, do you know who killed your son, Christian?
Yes.
I was so confused whenever I started being blamed. I really was.
We're gonna keep on fighting.
I do have a small army, but they're smart. She did not kill him.
As a prosecutor, I have never in my career seen anything like this case.
I don't care to change anyone's mind.
They let somebody get away with murder.
I can't believe this is happening to our family. I think everybody was just kind of in shock. This is something, that happens to other people. It doesn't happen to you.
From their lakeside home just outside Meridian, Mississippi, Ray and Todd ANDREACCHIO are haunted by the death of their 21-year-old son, Christian, in 2014.
A lot of days I look out there and, expect to see him out there with the jet ski floating about, but, every day you get caught with memories.
Christian grew up here on Delwood Shore Lake, where he fell in love with the water and dreamed of becoming a towboat captain on the Mississippi River.
He was on his way to being a really good man. And I think he would have been a good father, a good husband.
It's tough to talk about this, isn't it?
Yeah. I miss him every day.
Have either of you honestly been able to have any peace in your life during all of this since your son's death?
No.
No, we've kind of been at war since it started.
And you're at war now?
Yes, sir.
This isn't over?
No, well, it's not by a long shot.
For now, there are two unanswered questions at the heart of this case. Why would a young man with so much to live for take his own life? Or perhaps more importantly, did someone take Christian's life from him? Your son's death, suicide or homicide?
Homicide.
It's definitely a homicide.
But Lauderdale County District Attorney Cassie Coleman who took over the case in 2018, says the evidence points in another direction.
Well, at this point, there has been further investigation by multiple agencies that have determined it to be a suicide.
At issue are the events of February 26, 2014.
I had talked to Christian that morning. He was on the boat. You know, everything was fine.
Christian was a few days into what's called a hitch, a 30-day work trip on the Mississippi River where he was a first mate on a towboat. Ray called him about getting tickets for a Rihanna concert.
And he said, well, let me check the dates to see. He said, I gotta go, I'll call you back later, love you. Got off the phone.
Just hours later, they were told that Christian was found dead in his apartment, which he shared with his girlfriend, Whitley Goodman.
And I was like, no, I don't think so. Christian's at work. He's not even in town.
A Meridian police detective broke the horrible news to them in person.
And he said, well, this is his driver's license. And when we saw his driver's license, it became a little bit more real.
But suicide? Nothing made sense to Ray and Todd.
He's never had any kind of mental problems, any kind of depression.
I'm proud of where I came.
Professionally, at the age of 21, Christian's life couldn't have been better. And on the personal side, he adored Whitley, who had dropped out of high school and wanted to become a hair and makeup artist.
They made each other happy. He was crazy about her. What is it, buddy?
Christy Chatterton is Whitley's mother.
She's very funny, very creative and adventurous.
She's a young woman that Christian ANDREACCHIO fell in love with.
She is.
Whitley even moved in with the ANDREACCHIOs, but after a few weeks, Ray says Whitley became jealous, defacing a picture of Christian and his ex-girlfriend.
I figured that she stabbed the faces out, and then she brought the picture to me.
What'd you think, Todd?
I thought she was a nut.
The ANDREACCHIOs asked Whitley to move out.
And so, you know, his kind of attitude was, well, if she can't be here, then I can't be here.
Christian and Whitley moved into this apartment, which Christian paid for.
I felt that she was using him for money. He was providing her with a place to stay, with a car, clothes, makeup, whatever.
Whitley's mom saw problems too, especially when Christian was on the towboat.
She would have to stay on the phone with him at night so he could keep up with where she was and what she was doing.
You mean for like an hour after an hour?
Like hours and hours and hours, every night. I didn't know how unhealthy the relationship had become.
But none of this seemed to add up to suicide for the ANDREACCHIOs.
So for him to take his life over somebody he'd been dating for 6 months, I don't think so, no.
On the night of Christian's death, Ray needed answers. She called her brother, Chris Thompson, and asked that he drive over to the Meridian Police Department. That's where Christian's friend, Dylan Swearingen, who made that 911 call,
What was your first name?
Dylan?
Dylan?
was being questioned, along with Whitley.
And I told him to be sure that Whitley didn't have Christian's phone.
At first, Whitley denied having it, but eventually turned it over to police.
To me, that was a big red flag right off the bat.
So she had lied initially about not knowing where Christian's phone was.
Right. It's very suspicious because why would you do that?
My personal opinion is that she did not want that phone to get in the hands of law enforcement because there were a lot of sexually oriented photographs and messages in that phone.
The ANDREACCHIOs were stunned to learn the investigation at the scene lasted only 45 minutes.
And the job they did in this investigation, how would you describe it?